Dr. Volk segment tonight, as we've been reporting for months. Country of Sweden, population about 10 million, having a very hard time assimilating Muslim immigrants and refugees. In fact, the Swedish government recently made it much more difficult for refugees to enter. Nevertheless, when President Trump referenced Sweden's problems on Saturday, all hell broke loose.
You look at what's happening in Germany. You look at what's happening last night in Sweden. Sweden. Who would believe this? Sweden. They took in large numbers. They're having problems like they never thought possible.
Now, the problem with the president's statement is that nothing specific happened Friday night. Apparently, he saw a report on the Tucker Carlson program and referenced it. That prompted the former Swedish prime minister to say this.
It was also important to make clear that this is wide of the mark. We expect the President of the United States to have sources of information that goes beyond the Fox News.
But a short time after that statement, a mini riot erupted in the Stockholm suburb, which is about 90% Muslim. The problem seems to be the Swedish police arrested a dope dealer in that neighborhood, and residents didn't like it. It's happened 2 other times in the past. But the big picture is this: the Swedish government doesn't want to admit to the world they have a migrant problem. This is how Dana Perino, co-host of The Five, so that was an act of God. Hours after that dopey former Swedish president, boom, the whole place goes up. 90% Muslim in that neighborhood. Have you ever been to Sweden?
I have not been. My husband has been, and I take all.
I spent some time.
Here.
I spent some time in Stockholm, and Sweden is a very homogenous country, or was. All right, they all look like you. All right, take a good look at Miss Dana. That's why I go to Sweden.
Except for I think they're a lot taller than me.
Maybe that's true. You're a munchkin.
But
the suburb Rinkeby. Rinkeby. I've never been there, but the word is that cops don't even want to go in there. It's the same kind of ghettoized situation. So all the people from North Africa and the Middle East, the migrants and the refugees, assemble there and keep their own culture, don't assimilate into the Swedish culture. And the government cracks down, and now it makes it harder for migrants to get in.
Right.
Yet, they don't want to tell the world what's going on in Sweden. They just don't.
Well, because of the media in particular, as actually came under scrutiny, the Swedish media for underreporting sexual assaults in 2013 and 2014, and that was kind of a scandal that erupted earlier this year, and they had to come forward and talk about that. And I think that they are experiencing the law of good intentions. They've long been generous. They want to be very open, and they open their doors to hundreds of thousands of refugees from mostly 3 countries: Syria, Afghanistan, and Iraq. In 2015, 163,000 refugees came in, but in 2016, as you pointed out, they dropped it down to about 30,000, and that's partly
a pretty big drop.
It's a big drop because they really have a problem. But this is my point.
Look, I'm not disparaging Sweden and its history of generosity to the rest of the world. During World War II, Sweden was a neutral country, but the Red Cross operated out of there and saved thousands of people.
Yep.
But now, did you hear what that prime minister said? He took a shot at our president, who essentially told the truth, but again didn't use the precise language you need to use to win the culture war, going back to our first block, okay? So what is this guy trying to say? I mean, if it were me interviewing the guy, it would have been a puddle.
Well, you can imagine that if the Prime Minister of Sweden had thrown shade at the United States of America, we would expect that President Trump or even former President Obama or former President Bush would want to say, hey, look, presidents in glass houses shouldn't throw stones because look at your situation over in Sweden. And one of the problems that they have over there is that they had been so generous that they had given no incentive to assimilate at all. If you arrive and you can get a house, and you don't have to assimilate and learn how to work beyond a labor job, then there's no reason to assimilate. And then the children that are born there are living in a ghetto, and so now they have a problem because it's 90% Muslim. That means there's no mixing at all.
And the reason we're even reporting on this is why that Trump people, the people who support the president, don't want the mass migration here. Because they don't want the same kind of problem level that they're seeing in Sweden and in Germany and in France. There are problems there. All right, they are definitely having an impact, they being the refugees and migrants, and almost an overwhelming impact in some cases on the government.
That's why I wish that these countries would be willing to help the United States to solve these problems at
the source. Sure.
Because that's how you solve a refugee problem. None of these people actually want to have to leave their countries. They do it out of desperation.
Well, President Obama did not want to do that, and I don't know if President Trump wants to solve this
I
problem
know,
at the source.
but I'm a
NATO
solve
can
it
do
at
it.
its source kind of gal.
All right. Nina Perino, everybody. Plenty